Hey, One Stop Co-op Shop viewers, this is Mike with another review of a game on Kickstarter. Today we're looking at the JRPG Tabletop adventure game. Now it's funny that these things come in waves, but I've reviewed a lot of JRPG-inspired games recently. We have Diceborn Heroes, Midara, Adventure Tactics that I covered very recently, and now the JRPG Tabletop Adventure game. So how does it compare? What do I like? What am I concerned about? Let's get into it. Quick disclaimer, as always, I was paid nothing for this review, and I'm not even keeping my copy of the game. I'm giving the demo back to the designer once I'm done with it. So what did I love? Oh my gosh, so much about this game. First of all, the story for me is a big hit. It's funny, it pays homage and even parodies some of the JRPG tropes, which I'm totally familiar with. It has really cute dialogue, and if your players want to get into it, they can read it out loud, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. You don't have to read like tons of paragraphs. You can just read a few funny little lines and get into the combat or the adventure. I also love the upgrading and leveling in this game. You level in 3 ways. Number 1, whenever you defeat an enemy, you level up, gaining higher hit points and higher mana values. Number 2, as you find these crystals and feed them to your beat bird, your character's bag levels up, because this is a token-based like bag drawing game for combat, so having better tokens there gives you more consistency with your abilities and makes them do more damage and have better effects. And then finally, as you make choices in the different acts of the game, because it's a 3-act campaign plus a little sort of mini intro act, you get to level up your ability cards and get cooler and cooler abilities. And if you play the game multiple times, the campaign can branch into 3 different options for each of the acts, and you get different upgrades there. And once you've beaten the campaign, those upgrades are available to other games you might play. So eventually you can just build these really crazy like characters doing the exact cool things and combos you want to try out. And man, talking about those combos and combat in this game is amazing. I really can't overstate how much it feels like a wonderful JRPG in terms of having a lot of tactics to the combat and really cool character abilities. You're pulled in a lot of directions in terms of which enemies you want to target, because some of them are corrupted and could make you lose the fight more quickly, but other ones have nastier effects or lower hit points, so you're really not sure who you want to attack sometimes. And every attack you do puts an aggro token on a monster, which will make them generally target you in their attacks, which again means you might want to have the fighter go at a certain point in the turn order or attack a certain enemy to protect somebody else. And that add on top of that even though you're randomly drawing from your bag, all the tokens you've drawn stay up on your board, so your probability becomes clearer and clearer, and you know exactly what your chances of really smashing with this attack or that color gem. It's a smooth system, it's a fast system, but it has so much tactical depth and fun and theme. I just adore it. And everything else is cool too. The little grinds you do instead of being full-out combats are fun and quick. The little adventures you have and the randomization of the map gives variety on future playthroughs. Getting items, choosing which ones to equip, mitigating different things, healing each other. I don't know, I just love basically everything I do in this game. It's really just a fun, engrossing experience. I sat down and played 2 acts straight. That's like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay in one sitting because I just couldn't get enough of this game. So what are my concerns? There's only one concern for me that is not kind of player dependent, and that's that you can lose combats not only if all your players lose their hit points, but also if your beat bird, your little pet, gets too corrupted by these shadow tokens. Basically, some monsters, when they hit you, put these shadow tokens in your bag, and when you draw them, the beat bird moves forward, and if he moves too far, you lose. And he doesn't have to move very far. It's a really quick track. But the cool thing is I talked to the designer about this concern, and there's already a lot of ways to mitigate this, but he's adding even more. So I think this won't be a problem anymore in the actual production copy of the game. You should have a lot of cool tools and ways to like deal damage to yourself instead of letting the beat bird go forward that I think should totally fix this. Besides that, I have no concerns about the game. I know that's crazy to say, but I think this is so much fun. But I think there are concerns that other people might have about the game, so let me go into those. First of all, in terms of the story, the game is expecting each player to read out their character's dialogue, and it is kind of goofy and funny. As a former actor, of course, I think that's wonderful, but, you know, some game groups might not want to get into that sort of goofiness of the story. Another potential concern is that the game is lightning fast with 4 players, but does take a little bit longer when playing solo or with only 2 or 3 players. Because each character has their own bag and you always have to have 4 characters, if you're playing solo especially, you have to kind of go through the action of drawing tokens out of each bag, and upgrading takes a little bit longer, and taking damage takes a little bit longer, because again, you have to kind of cycle through each character. I'll also note that while there is almost no luck in the game in terms of dice, of course the dice bag is an element of luck, and while you can see what you're likely to draw, you'll sometimes just totally miss on attack. It doesn't happen too often, but just be aware that there is some luck if you're really luck averse. Well, as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of this game. This is one of my top ones of the year so far. Man, I love the experience of playing it. I mentioned at the beginning other JRPGs that have come out recently: Adventure Tactics, Midara, Diceborn Heroes. For my money, and this might be a controversial statement, I think the JRPG Tabletop Adventure game blows all of them away for actually giving me something that feels like a fun JRPG experience. Combat is awesome, strategic, tense. The story, I think, is hilarious. The gameplay is quick and simple, especially with multiple players. The game teaches you how to play, but not in an annoying way like Mage Knight where you gotta look between 2 rulebooks, but in a really streamlined way that I find very quick to get me into the game. And yes, overall, the JRPG Tabletop Adventure game, huge winner. If you have any interest in the theme, if you have any interest in the gameplay after watching my playthrough, I would definitely get this game. It is so awesome and so unique, like nothing I've ever played before. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.